Hey guys, it's Ping out here at Glen Helen Raceway with the 22 Yamaha YZ125, all new. We've been waiting for this thing impatiently for a long time, and we finally got to ride today. We've got Mike Ulrich with us here from Yamaha. Mike, I'd like you to just kind of walk us through all the changes on this thing, because there's a lot. It's not just the motor. The motor's all brand new. Take us through everything that was changed on this thing.
Yeah, so the 125 is basically all new. Really, the only carryover part is the frame and the swing arm. The engine is new from the ground up, brand new cases, the crankshaft, the transmission, cylinder head, power valves. It now comes with a V-Force reed block, which that's a pretty cool upgrade that a lot of people change to when they kind of one of the first modifications they make, and now it comes stock on the bike. Now it comes with a bigger 38 millimeter Kian carburetor. The engine is brand new, really focused on more mid to top end power. Aside from that, suspension is new. The forks have new internals, which are basically the same as the four-stroke line, so it's the latest generation suspension. Compared to last year, it's a little bit stiffer. The spring rates are one rate up, and it makes the bike feel a lot more racy, less kind of pitching and movement back and forth. And just like we saw with the 250, the bodywork is all new. It's a lot more modern and also a lot more racy, easier to move around on the bike, easier to throw the bike around. So brakes are also new. So a lot of changes on the new YZ125.
And it also shares the intake here in the back, designed to move more air, which we really felt on the 250, because that was really the only change to that, and you could still feel that difference.
Right, yeah. So really a lot of thought went into the new intake and the shape of the air box as well, to kind of not just get more air in, but just make it more efficient as the air comes in. And as it comes out, also a new pipe, shorter silencer.
It's a lot of changes.
Yeah.
You guys did a lot. And the looks of it are great. Just listening to it on the stand, you can tell it just sounds nastier. So all in all, looking at this thing, if you're walking into a dealer showroom and looking at it, it's beautiful, and it's got a lot of upgrades. So like I mentioned, we've been waiting for months to have a turn on this thing, and just my initial impression hopping on right away, it felt taller. I'm teeter-tottering on either side of it. So if you're somebody who's a shorter guy, the seat height was raised, so I'm sure there'll be lower seat options available. But just on flat ground, it does have a taller feel, but it's a thinner feel. The seat is firmer. It feels more like a modern bike. You definitely get that feeling that it's thinner and feels lighter and racier. From as far as the controls and all that stuff, it's all still good. Never had any issues there. The suspension, you definitely notice, as Mike was saying, it's a spring rate stiffer front and back and different valving, just designed for a little bit less movement. So when you grab on the brakes, this thing used to dive pretty hard, and it just moved a lot. So that's definitely quieted down. Typically, I'm going firmer and firmer on the standard 125 in the past. On this one, we actually went a little bit softer, high and low speed compression on the back, a click slower front and rear. Those were the changes we made. We will come back and do a race spec on these, so if you pick one up, we'll get you some really good settings. We were chatting with Steve Butler about jetting options, so we'll make sure we share all that with you. But today, that was my feel of the chassis. Just more racy, more modern. When you look at this or sit on this compared to the old one has a big swoop in the seat. It's wider, kind of feels like a trail bike going from this to that. This is just very racy and modern feeling, and it's all good. It's all upgrades. Like I said, the only people who might have issues, young kids that are short, or old men who are short legs, it definitely feels taller. But on the track, you don't notice it, just standing there trying to kickstart it and get on the bike. So the suspension on the track, again, I went softer and a little slower to get sort of that sweet spot I want. And it's a great setting. You can just mob into bumps with this thing. A lot of it is because it's so light, but it does handle really well. And there's much less movement. You know, when I grab the brakes, it's holding up better. When I accelerate, it's not squatting down so deep. It's just staying balanced, kind of keeping the whole chassis a little quieter, which I like. The motor, so where I noticed the biggest difference, and they were shooting for mid to top power, and I noticed the mid, like if you're looking at a dyno curve, that whole front side to me feels just fatter. The thing pulls hard. I compared it to kind of the Pro Circuit Ryan Villapoto build that he did for me a couple years back. Very, very similar. The horsepower feel there in the middle. And it's strong. It's very, very strong. Today, a little bit like, it was a little flat to me on the top, but I thought maybe the jet, we could go one size bigger on the main jet, and it might open up and let that rev out a little longer. So some of that's just fine-tuning the jetting. That's so important on these. That's why when we come back with a race spec video, we'll give you guys some different jetting options and ideas depending on where you live and elevation and humidity and all that. It's definitely an art. So if you are going to get one of these, you got to learn jetting and get comfortable with that air screw and moving that around, because it makes all the difference in the world on these. But it was running great today, like I said. Good pull out of the bottom, but when it gets into that middle, the meat of the power, man, it's wheeling up the hills and everything. I mean, it's just pulling the front wheel off the ground. So really, really strong. And it's a good carryover. Just I was wanting it to maybe pull a little bit further. And I think that with a one bigger main, we would have gotten that. So we will go back and try that. But a good, really easy to ride power. Like if I needed to snap out of a turn to change directions, just a quick little pop of the clutch and the thing, you can turn 90 degrees in a hurry. Or rail a berm. I mean, it's just so nimble and easy to ride. That's the fun thing about it. Easy to ride in that it's so light and controllable. If you want to try to go fast on these, it is a lot of work. I mean, you're constantly shifting, braking, focused on carrying momentum. It takes a more technically sound rider to make these go fast. Really anxious for you guys for these to hit dealer showrooms, which will happen soon, and you guys can pick them up and see for yourself. But I always have fun on 125s, and so to see Yamaha stepping in, not just letting this bike coast, they came in with an all-new engine. Everything else is already so good on it. Wasn't a lot of reason to change it. This is still the best handling 125. They just needed to boost up the horsepower numbers, and they've done that. So now you've got a weapon here in this thing, and you don't need to do much to make it raceable. Stay tuned for the race spec video. That's coming shortly, and that'll give you kind of good starting points for setup. If you haven't looked into Yamaha's, all the GYTR aftermarket parts, Yamalube stuff, the bLucRU amateur support, there's a lot of things that come along with buying one of these bikes. So get down to your local Yamaha dealership, ask about all of those things, and check these things out. They're worth looking into. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.